Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Tech Tuesday. My name is Ed Lozano, Western Sales Engineer here at LiveU, and always joined by my very good friend, Mr. Luis Munoz. Good morning, Luis.
Hey guys, good morning. Good morning.
Awesome. Well, we'd like to welcome everybody that's joining us live online right now. And to those of you that may be joining us later on our YouTube channel on Tech Tuesday via LiveU, welcome. And I also want to bring in Joyce, Joyce with our marketing team. Joyce, good morning. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. Again, welcome to Tech Tuesday. This is the Everything Encoders show, where we're going to talk about all of our portable field encoders and our rack-mounted field encoders. We've got a really exciting lineup, so hope you enjoy this show today. As always, we want you to be involved. If you've got a question, put it in the chat. You can click the chat icon here in the Zoom session. You can also raise your hand, and Joyce can unmute you and bring you into the conversation, because we want this to be interactive with you as well. So, but before we get started with today's presentation, I want to make a special announcement. We're actually going to be expanding the Tech Tuesday brand a little bit, if you will. We want to be able to deliver this to multiple audiences in multiple languages. So I'm happy to bring in my colleague, Francisco Roa, who is going to actually be doing, starting next month, Tech Tuesday in Espanol. Did I mess it up, Francisco? I probably messed it up, didn't I?
Hey, thank you. And we are going to try to do the same things, great stuff that you're bringing for all the English speakers. We are going to do for Spanish speakers, and for all the audience, for LiveU people, it's more of welcoming to the next Tech Tuesday in Espanol.
Yeah,
thank you.
We're looking forward to that, Francisco. I think Luis is probably going to be joining you on that one as
For
well.
Sure. It's a must.
I don't know if you want to listen to my Espanol.
But no, we're really looking forward to that. We'll definitely, our marketing teams will be putting that out. So if you've got sister stations that have a Spanish language broadcast, we really encourage you to bring them and make them a part of Francisco's show here, because this is about learning and educating you, our LiveU customers, and also you, our future LiveU customers. So Francisco, we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing a lot of great things from you and the team. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
And just to add, that we do have the YouTube page that has the recorded versions of the Tech Tuesdays.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All these shows are archived. They're uploaded to our YouTube page. Joyce and the team do put out information on links to that, so you'll be able to find that. And also be sure to email us if you have questions after the show. That's techtuesday@liveu.tv. Well, awesome. Without further ado, let's get started here. Let's talk about all things encoders. And talking about all things encoders, let's take a look at the LiveU product line here. We've got a great line of encoders. We've got in the LiveU family. We've got the LiveU 300, which is a single channel HEVC encoder, very portable unit that you can wear on your person, or you can put on the camera itself. We've got the powerful workhorse, if you will, the LiveU 600, where this unit has been around for some time, and it still performs day in and day out for a lot of customers. Another HEVC unit. This unit has 6 internal modems in it, including Wi-Fi as well. The 300 has 2 internal modems with 2 external modems, and this 300S is also 5G compatible. And then, of course, our new flagship encoder, the LiveU 800. This is in 2 different flavors. This is the 4-channel multi-camera supported unit, where you could do multiple REMI type shows, switch productions in the field, and we'll take a look at that in a few minutes here. And also we have a single channel version of it, both having 8 internal modems, and with the new version 10 software that has just been released, we can do multiple Wi-Fi. You've got multiple Ethernet connections on both the 800 and the 600 model. But let's take a quick look at the LiveU 800. Again, this is a 5G compatible modem system. It comes in multiple configurations. As always, work with your sales engineer or your sales representative to find out what works best for you and your organization. As I mentioned, we do have two different models of this, the HDR version, which is a single input. It has a single SDI input and a single HDMI input. Both offer HDMI output, the full-size HDMI output on it, as well as the 4-input version, which can bring in multiple cameras and bring that back. And this is perfect for REMI situations for your organization. A couple looking under the hood here a little bit more. It's 5G compatible. We do have a 4K option as well. As I mentioned, REMI, it's great for REMI productions, up to 16 channels of audio on this unit, and it is optimized for different locations, whether you need to bring in Wi-Fi, Ethernet, what have you. The unit is ready for those purposes. Taking a look at the side of it, you'll see on the right-hand side the 4 inputs there. These are SDI inputs. Upper right-hand corner of the top picture is the HDMI output. There is, and that's for our video return product. There's also an SD card slot right there above port number 2, where you can actually take an SD card and you can upload your content back to your MMH server. On the opposite side, you'll see that there are 2 Ethernet jacks, 2 power ports, and 2 headphone jacks. This is great for IFB on the headphone jack. We're bringing online the second audio port here very soon, where you'll be able to bring back multiple IFB channels. The Ethernet ports, are great for connecting to hardwire Ethernet, and also in conjunction with our data bridge and our IP pipe product, you can actually use these ports to bring back connectivity from your MMH server or from your office back to the field. And we've got shows on what IP pipe and data bridge can do. So be sure to take a look at that in our YouTube channel. And we may actually touch upon that here in a few minutes on Luis's demo. Taking a look at the LiveU 600, the next in our family of products here. The LiveU 600, as I mentioned, continues to be our workhorse. The 600 is an HEVC unit. It has 6 internal modems in it, and it is a single camera input as well. This also offers, we also offer IP pipe and data bridge with this product as well. Up to 4 channels of audio in this, and you can hook up external antennas as well to the 600 unit. And rounding it out is the LiveU 300S. This is a great unit for maybe areas where maybe you don't need as many modems, but you want that small portable flexibility. You can use this unit to put on the side of your camera. We do offer mounts where some stations use this to mount on the side of their camera between the Anton Bauer or the V-mount batteries. Some people prefer that. We also offer a strap where you can put it on your person, or there is a belt mount clip. And we also have, I don't want to call it a fanny pack, but it's like a pack where you can also wear this unit as well. So we've got different ways to hold and carry this product as well. 300S, great unit. Again, 5G compatible, 4K. It is an HEVC unit, up to 8 channels of audio and 3 hours on that battery life as well. So taking a look at the numbers across the product line here, you can see the max number of cameras that we offer on the 300, 600, that being 1. The 800 offers the 4 inputs coming into it. 4K compatible on our 300 and 800 line. And of course, the different connections that you can have. You can have up to 6 bonded connections coming into a LiveU 300, up to 12 coming into the 600, and of course, up to 14 on your LiveU 800. Max audio channels there, 8 channels on the 300S, 4 on the 600, and up to 16 channels of audio on your LiveU 800. Like I said, please, we always want questions. If there's any questions about any of these products, please let us know. Raise your hand. You can text in the chat there or the Q&A button at the top as well. I mean, Luis, a lot of our stations out there, we're seeing them really using the 300 and 800 product family there.
Yeah, I think it just really depends because a lot of them, a lot of them in big markets use, if they have, 40 or 30 packs, a lot of them will have, 300s, and many of them have 800. So it really varies.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, the 300s people use are typically going to be in town. Um, uh, it's because you have the 4 modems on it. For the 800s, because it has the 8 modems, or, yeah, 6 to 8 modems on them. Then those can pretty much go anywhere. That goes without saying that all of them have the ability to actually do international SIMs as well. So and we'll show you guys that functionality as well.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Our 600 and actually across the line, the 300, 600, and the 800 are of course able to travel internationally, and like Luis said, we'll definitely talk about that. And as Luis mentioned, some stations are using maybe a 300 for in-city coverage. We see a lot of 5G coverage, especially in the larger metropolitan areas. Maybe if you're doing coverage, maybe in the mountains or rural areas, maybe a 600 or an 800 may be the best for you. So really work with your sales engineer and your salesperson to find out which product works best for you. Now, one other thing that I want to talk about in our encoder family is LiveU Smart. We have a lot of stations and a lot of production and sports entities that use LiveU Smart day in and day out for their coverage. And LiveU Smart is an app that you can find in the iOS store and in the Android Play Store, which will allow your phone to be a LiveU encoder. Now, there are some advantages to having this. We've got some stations that assign this to the whole staff. And the great thing about this on the broadcast side is, let's say there's breaking news and someone from the engineering team is headed home. They may not be a photojournalist or a reporter themselves, but you know what? They can actually shoot this, send the clips back to the station, or shoot it back live, and it allows you to have that individual or that staff member out there covering stories for you as it happens. LiveU Smart has a ton of applications. I know we've heard from some sports entities that are using these as goalie cams or net type cams. I've seen people use these as basketball hoop cams, wide shot, beauty shot cameras. So there's different applications. I know we've got some news folks that are using it as beauty shot cameras as well, maybe a 2-shot with their reporter. So different applications. LiveU Smart is available. Once again, your salesperson or your sales engineer can definitely help you with this product. It's a great product. Let's talk about our portable rack mounted field encoders. We've got 2 newer encoders. This is the LiveU 610 and the 810 models. Just like the LiveU 600 and the LiveU 800, these are the rack-mounted versions of encoders. So taking a look here at the 810 and 610, these are maybe there's some stations out there that have their racks in vehicles. Maybe it's a storm chasing type unit. Maybe it's an old van type production type vehicle, and they want that rack mounted capabilities. The LiveU 610 or the LU 610 and the LU 810 may be a perfect fit for you. The 610 is really a 1 RU unit, as well as the 810. There are external antenna configurations for this as well, but some applications are in the vehicle. And of course, you can have them as fixed location encoders at maybe a sports venue. Maybe you're covering hockey or something like that a lot, and you just want to keep and secure an encoder there at the facility. You can put a 610 or an 810 unit at those facilities. The 810, like I said, is just like the 800, the portable unit. This is an HEVC unit. It is 5G compatible. It does have 4 inputs coming into it. You can do a 10-bit HDR off of it, up to 60 meg. Really designed for having the hardwire connectivity as well as the cellular. You can do a failover if you want to rely on the Ethernet with the least cost bonding, or you can rely on the cellular. Maybe you're at a venue where you have one of these wired and you don't have that connectivity. You have the the modems that are built into the unit as well. The 610, just like the 810, but this is a single input encoder. This does have external antennas as well, 4K compatible, HEVC, and 5G as well. This does have the 6 internal 5G modems, and great for maybe those field units where you want to put it into a van or your SUV, your weather chase vehicle. This is a great unit for you as well. If you have a weather chase vehicle, I know some of the vehicles have the reporter camera, a camera up on the top of the vehicle. Maybe an 810 may be a little bit better for you, but if you have a single camera type system, the 610 is a great unit for those. Luis, we're seeing a lot of stations going to this, replacing older encoders as well, and opting for the 610 and 810 models as well.
Yeah, a lot of them just want to have that ability to actually have them rack mounted, but there are some customers that do prefer that have that flexibility where they, instead of having a rack mounted unit, they could have an 810 with the docking station, right, where it's going to be mounted on the remote truck, but they also have that flexibility of being able to get up, grab it, and leave the actual live truck there behind. So that's one of the things that obviously you'll have to consider when you're getting an LiVU 610 or an 810, is that obviously it's going to be rack mounted into your truck, so you don't have that flexibility of grabbing it and taking off with it. Exactly.
And the last one encoder I want to take a look at is the 300SE. So just like the 300S, this unit does not have cellular modems in it. So this is a hardwire Ethernet only or a Wi-Fi unit only. So maybe this is something that you want to replace, maybe an older unit that you have maybe in a rack, and maybe you don't really want that rack mounted. You want to have a throwdown that you can move around. This 300 SE may be the option for you. Like I said, Ethernet only, great as a contribution encoder, maybe going into our LiveU Matrix platform. If you need to get content up into Matrix, this is a perfect unit for you. No cellular that you have to, if you don't need that functionality, the 300 SE would be a perfect unit for you. Really, that's our line of product, the overview of it, but there's a lot more to it. So the functionality, talking to it for our field encoders and units in LiveU Central, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Munoz here, to show us a little bit more about how you can control the units and some of the functionality of the units as well. Mr. Munoz.
Sounds good. All right. Well, first off, I'll kind of give you guys an overview of the actual LiVU Central interface, right? So obviously you can control these devices through LiVU Central or directly on the unit itself. The easiest obviously is going to be directly through the actual, through LiVU Central. So in order for you to get into the settings for that, is you obviously need to log into LiVU Central. Once you're logged into LiVU Central, hopefully everybody can see my screen here. Up here on the right, you can see the settings icon, a little gear icon. If you click on that, that will allow you to view your everything you have on here, right? So you've got all your modems. So one of the things that Ed had discussed earlier with one of the newer versions of software, now that we're on version 10, we enabled the second Wi-Fi connection. So one of the nice things with this is you can have Wi-Fi 1 and have it connected to a standalone Wi-Fi hotspot, and then the second Wi-Fi you can have it connected to that as well. So you can actually set the if you're through LiVU Central, you can actually connect to the Wi-Fi hotspots through LiVU Central rather than being directly on the remotely from wherever you're at. As long as you know the password you can actually get in there. So anyways, you can have the two Wi-Fi connections there. And then obviously you're going to have all your modems, right? So here you'll have your modems. So one of the easiest ways to look at the modems or the connections you have is to look here down here in LiVU Central. You have your modems here, right? I took the T-Mobile SIM out here, so I was messing around with that one, so it's why we don't have any connection to it. But anyways, you have all your connections here. So one thing you want to always make sure whenever you have a pack, you always want to make sure that you know how many connections you have, or how many different modems you're going to have on here. So let's say, for example, I have these 6 or 8 different modems, right? So I have 2, 4, 6. So I have 7 modems is what I'm supposed to have here. But I see this T-Mobile is yellow. So that's basically telling you that it's not connecting. So that's something you want to make sure you have addressed. So that's one thing you would want to call tech support. Make sure the tech support addresses that. It could very well be if you've had that unit for a while. Maybe it's just a matter of reseating that card or the SIM. Depending on if you have an 800, you can actually see this is on port 2 on SIM slot 2, so you can actually just take that SIM card out and then put it back in there, and maybe sometimes that'll help. If that doesn't help, then you can call tech support and they can assist you with that. You can also double click on that one device, and you can the IMEI number is what you would want to provide tech support, and they would be able to help you out with that as well if you were to call tech support. Now on the unit itself, there's an option setting that you can actually enable. Let's say, for example, I'm doing an international. I'm going to an international event. So I'm in the U.S. and I'm going to go to, I don't know, China, right? So if I'm going to go to China, then what you would want to do is you want to make sure you enable the international SIMs while you're still in the U.S. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to, once you're in China, you'll have to get on a Wi-Fi hotspot, and then you'll have to enable that way, because we need to be able to connect to the system so that it'll enable the BSIM. So you always want to make sure that you enable that while you're still in the US. Once you leave, then you can actually go in and click on the B side. Now, anytime you do have to enable your international SIMs, you want to make sure that you contact support, and they'll provide you with documentation. Appropriate documentation to get into that. So the documentation that you would get is something like this, right? So this will give you instructions, kind of step-by-step instructions on configuring your B side and your SIMs, right? So you can go in there. If you're looking up directly on the unit itself, there's actually a single button that you could push, and it'll put everything on the B side. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to show that right now, but you'll see it on your pack, directly on the pack. You'll be able to see that screenshot or the view there, but it would be somewhere in this area here. This one doesn't have that, but anyway, so that's one thing that you want to keep in mind for your SIMs. Again, if you're going international, first thing you want to do is call tech support, enable your international SIMs while you're still in the US. That way, when you leave, then it's just a matter of just enabling the B side. And you can follow the instructions on this documentation here. Okay. Now, what I have this is kind of a what you're seeing here is the actual UI of the pack, but this one's kind of limited with what you're able to see. So for example, I'm not able to see all my SIMs or here. See, I have the connections and so forth. All that information is not available through the UI. This is kind of just really kind of just a view. But anyways, that's something to keep in mind here. And I'll show you guys how to see how you see the connections. So you have the connections and so forth. But I'll show you that information here shortly. But let me just go into the LiveU Central here and go over this first. Okay. So back to the options menu here. Again, if you were to go into this, and you wanted to go into their settings, you can go in here and find those. But for the most part, you're just going to do that directly on the SIM itself. So here's just the A slot or the B slot. Again, there's a separate SIM. So in total, there's either 12 or 14 different SIMs on that LiveU 800 or whatever devices you're going to have, right? So it'll have specifically for the U.S. SIMs for the U.S. specifically, and then you have SIMs for the international wherever you're going to be internationally, right? So anyways, that's kind of your setting here. So what
want to say low consumption, but I don't think.
No, it's high efficiency, and then the low. I don't know. Anyways, but just keep that at 128, 198 is probably the kind of even 96 would be okay. But I would definitely keep it on LC. Okay.
Luis, I'll probably remember it. I'll probably remember it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll send you a message.
Sounds good. And then the audio camera. So if you're on an LiveU 800 and you use the multi-camera functionality, you can have the audio follow only on SDI1. Otherwise, it's going to go on channel 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to follow the audio for those. Okay. And
it looks like Jay up in Dallas wins our award. He knew it. Low complexity.
Low complexity?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Jay, you win the award.
Can always count on Jay. All right. So on the network configuration, I would also make sure that I enable this. The reason why I want to enable it is that your system's always going to be. We cap the units, especially if you're using your cell, the modems, cell modems. So if you have that, then you have the ability to, when you're streaming when you're streaming something, that you can actually adjust your bit rate here, right? So now I have this, and I can go in here and I can go up or down. If this is disabled, it's not gonna, it will not pop up in here. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay. All right. The usage monitoring. This is pretty handy and it's going to give you kind of a more or less an idea of your data usage, right? So typically, you'll have a whatever usage you have that you're getting through LiveU. You will set that up. That way, you can actually always tell. In here, you have your usage field here, and it'll tell you, and it'll reset at the beginning of the month, right? So at the beginning of the month, so you want to make sure that you stay within 100% or whatever it is. Some people actually do by the hours, and just you can kind of configure that according to whatever your usage is. But for the most part, we'll typically set that up in advance, so you don't have to really adjust that. or make any changes to that. The multi-camera prioritization. So what this is it allows you to, if you're doing a 4-camera shot or shoot, you can actually tell which camera. So let's say, for example, I have camera 4 and I want, it's just a screenshot of the score, right? Scoreboard. Then you can actually bring that down to, whatever priority you want. So if in the event that you have some, issue, you could actually just, it'll actually allocate the appropriate amount of bandwidth for that camera. So again, you can kind of adjust this accordingly to whatever you want. You can feel free to play around with that setting there as you need to. Again, the least cost bonding. For the most part, I would recommend just using the Ethernet Wi-Fi first. And basically what that is in the event that my Ethernet or Wi-Fi was to, it'll prioritize that. It'll use that connection only. And then in the event that those two went out, then it'll go to your cell phone connection, right? Your modems, your modems. Then otherwise, you can just tell it to, you disable it. If you disable it, then what's going to happen is all your connections. So let's say you have, let's say you have 10 connections, 6 modems, 2 Wi-Fi's, and 2 Ethernets, right? It'll just use the bandwidth across the board for each one of them, and it'll just kind of it'll use every single connection that you have equally, or whatever that modem or connection can handle. Okay. For IP pipe, this one's a little bit more complicated. Not necessarily complicated, but if you have the IP pipe functionality. So one of the ways that you could use IP pipe is let's say, for example, you want to control a PTZ camera, right? So you have a PTZ controller at the station, and remotely you have your PTZ cameras, right? So at the location, you could actually connect your let's say you have 4 cameras. You can connect all 4 cameras to a switch, and that switch is going to be connected to an LU 800 or 300 or 600, and then it's going to provide the 1 meg of connectivity, so that we can actually control that from the remote location, from the studio or wherever it is that they're actually controlling that. There's different uses that you can utilize that 1 meg connection, because we can actually increase that slightly. But you can use IP pipe. There's a lot of usage for IP pipe, but it's that kind of gives you an idea of what IP pipe is. Once you have that set up in here, then it's just a matter of utilizing you have that 1 meg connection. You can use IP pipe while you're streaming, so that's a nice thing to have that functionality. Again, one of the uses that we had IP pipe for one of the customers is they want to be able to continue to stream video, but they have a radar, and they have a laptop, and they just simply want to connect that laptop to for these storm chasers. They want to connect the laptop to IP pipe, use IP pipe, and use that 1 meg bandwidth simply for their laptop to be able to pick up the radar, a live radar, right? So that's really all what they use that for. So they connect that. They're always streaming, and at the same time, they don't have to stop the stream so that they can get internet access to their laptops. And then last but not least, here we have the advanced setting. Store and forward is I typically would there's a prefix, file name prefix. So anytime that you do a store and forward from this particular pack, you could actually do like a LU3. So anytime you send a pack or a file from this unit to the server, it's gonna label it with the LU-03. That way, once it gets into your server, you'll know where that file came from, right? So that's something that's kind of handy to have. If you don't have that in there, it's just going to send it as a file, and then you won't really know which pack that file's coming from. So it's kind of handy to use that. Data bridge. I think we had a session on data bridge already a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or 2 ago. But there's data bridge gateways that you can utilize here. If you have that functionality, you can select, pick and choose which gateway you want to use there. Ancillary data, right? Closed captioning. So if you want to pass closed captioning, you can go in there and enable that. So if it's enabled, it'll pass closed captioning. If it's not, then it's not, right? So pretty self-explanatory there. Matrix sharing. If you are a large group like a Fox O&O, Sinclair, any one of those, we typically want to enable these so that you can share content amongst your own group, right? So if you disable that, then the other stations within your group will not be able to see your feeds. Okay, your video return transmission here. Typically, your video return is always going to be streaming or always going to be available. So if you when you stop a stream, you want it to stop here. It's just a pretty self-explanatory there, right? To stop video return when stopping a live store forward, right? As far as the audio IFB settings, IFB, again, this is the IFB is the free version of IFB. There's two different functionalities. One is IFB, which is free. The other one is Audio Connect, right? With Audio Connect, that's where you're able to utilize the two ports that are on the LiveU 800, right? The two audio jacks, right? So that only support that second port requires you to use the audio room functionality or the Audio Connect functionality. If you only have IFB, you'll only be able to use that one port on that LiveU 800. So you'll want to have these two enabled. And this is typically if you're only using IFB, then you'll want to have this set to automatic. If you're using Audio Connect, you'll want to set it to US, right? There, depending on which region you're going to be at, right? So you'll use that accordingly. This setting here, the unit site allowed configuration. There's some stations that do not want the photogs to change the settings from the field, right? So they want to be able to say, okay, pack 1 is only going to go to server port 1, right? So if you enable this here, then the user on the field will not be able to change that themselves. That would have to be done by TOC or TOC at the station. So that's kind of a preference, individual preference for each station. The QR code, there's an app called LiveU Control, right? This LiveU Control allows you to actually be able to control this device. So if you look when you boot your pack, you'll see. I'm sure you guys have seen it. There's a QR code. If you use that QR code, you can actually take a screenshot of that through your phone, and it'll open up the LiveU Control app, and you'll be able to control start, stop, the stream, and so forth. I don't know if that's used very often, because a lot of times with the packs themselves, you can actually just have the on your shoulder, you can use the button. That's the single button. You can simply start the streams or stop the streams and so forth. So I typically like to, I would set this up as persistent mode. So what some customers have done is they'll set it on persistent mode. They'll take a screenshot of that, print it, and then they'll paste it on their vehicle. So if they ever need to control that remotely, they just simply use their phone, open it up, and they'll be able to. Otherwise, if you have it on temporary mode, it's always going to be creating a new one. So that's something to keep in mind there.
And real quick, Luis, exciting things coming out with the Control app here very soon. I think we should do a Tech Tuesday on that, because a lot of cool stuff coming with that app.
Absolutely. And then one last thing here is you can always open up a support case through here. So if for whatever reason you have an issue with with the pack, you can always go in here and click on open support case. Let me just click on save on that. And what this will do is you can tell it, give a description of during whatever time pack 3 lost connection or whatever it is, whatever that issue may be. You'll want to make sure you put whatever time your local time, right? So central time zone, right? Your central time zone, and then what server it was connected to, and then you would enable this here, because we want to pull the logs for that. And then so you basically put all your information in there and ask them to call you or whatever, right? And then when you hit send, it'll automatically open up a ticket for that, and then support can follow up with you on that issue. Okay, so it's pretty handy. That way you don't have to call tech support and get on the line with them. So you can actually just send that information out, and then they can actually, if you want, you can follow with a call afterwards. But it's a handy way of being able to get that ticket initiated from there. Okay, Ed, I think that's pretty much it on the options. There is a data bridge function here where you can actually start it, right? You can go multipath mode or gateway mode. I think we've already covered that piece already in a previous training session. Video return, you can start your video return from here, right? So you can see those from there, and you can start those, right? So that's all, you know, functionality that's available through here. There is also the IFB, again, the IFB functionality or the Audio Connect feature that you know, we could probably create our own session, our own training session for that. We may maybe do something like that later on for Audio Connect, because we can go on for hours talking about how different ways of doing that or different scenarios. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing is just you expand, and this will expand and gives you more data here on more information. The map kind of gives you more information on that. The speed test, you can do a speed test. The speed test, keep in mind that if your unit is capped here at 5.2, when you do your speed test, it's gonna tell you that it's, you know, it's capped at 5.2, or it'll max it out at 5.2. So that's normal, right?
And I think this is a
go.
function. This is a function not a lot of people use, Luis. Is
Right.
the expand. I mean, this is a great tool that I think everybody should use day in and day out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's it. Like Ed said, you know, you have all the modems that are connecting, right? So you want to make sure that this will give you the 5.2. If you don't get the 5.2 megs that you need, then one thing to keep that you might want to do is to increase your delay, right? Your delay, you probably want to set it up to maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds, or something like that. And your bandwidth, you know, you could probably, you know, I wouldn't go any lower than three megs. But if you bring that down, that'll eliminate any type of issues where you have, you know, where you've got a really bad breakup in video. So you'd rather just bring down the quality a little bit less. That way, it's not having to do any type of, you know, the less error correction that it has to do on the network, then the better off you're going to be with that. So the higher the delay, the better off you're going to be there. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll bring it up. I'll push it back to you, Ed.
All right, thank you, Luis. Thanks for that incredible overview of the actual control of the units here, the field encoder units. Joyce, I think we've got a couple questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there was a question about LiveU Solo Pro. So do you want to give a little overview of that? And just for some background, that is, you know, our conversations are typically broadcast. You know, the theme is typically broadcast, which is why I think Solo was not involved. But
Right.
you know, we appreciate the question. Maybe we could just give an overview of Solo Pro.
Yeah. So and appreciate that, Jim. Jim, thanks for that question. Yeah, as Joyce was saying, we really focus on the broadcast line here. LiveU Solo Pro is, of course, part of the LiveU family, and it has its own world where it works in. We are primarily focused on the broadcast side, and that, you know, I think this brings up a good point, Joyce. That maybe we'll schedule a Tech Tuesday here to maybe talk about the Solo and the Solo Pro line, and have Dan come in and chat about that. I know a lot of folks in the community have worked with Dan. They know Dan, and maybe we can bring him and make him a part of the conversation to talk about Solo Pro here. Definitely.
Yeah, and we actually have a couple of, you know, we have the new tools. So I think it would be good to have a full discussion
Sure.
around Solo Pro itself and all of the different feature sets and Solo Connect and Stream tools.
Yeah, a lot of changes over there, a lot of new additions, which make that product line very, very exciting as well. So yeah, thanks, Jim, for that question.
Thank you. So our friend Jay, who's a regular on the show, is the second Wi-Fi adapter in LiveU 800 Pro already installed and becomes active when the unit is upgraded to V.10, or do you need hardware upgrade?
No, it's just a software update on the 800. So once we bring him up to version 10, there's I forget it, I think it's version 10.01.
Yeah.
Then you'll have that second Wi-Fi enabled.
Yep. And I think that's a really there's a lot of changes just like that, and a lot of changes under the hood with version 10. So Jay, definitely go with Luis to get you upgraded.
Do that.
Get him going. Yep. And yeah, thank you, my partner in crime here, Mr. Rusty Six. Yes, for users that use the LiveU Smart application, I know iOS 17 just came out yesterday. I would suggest, or we're suggesting, not to upgrade to iOS 17 right now. There's a little bit of an issue with iOS 17 with a lot of applications, not just LiveU, but a lot of other folks out there. And we're advising folks, don't upgrade to iOS 17 if you haven't yet. If you're using the iOS LiveU Smart app, don't upgrade yet. Android, you're fine over there. This is just affecting the iOS side. So we'll put some information out on that. But if you're using the LiveU Smart application in iOS 17, I would hold off on upgrading if you can. And if you've already upgraded and you see some issues, you can always call or email out to our tech support team. But you can always roll back to iOS 16. I think 16.5 is where we left off before coming over to 17. So,
yeah, there's some changes that Apple made and on their end that breaks something on our end. So
right.
That's pretty
difficult. The fix is coming. Yeah, the fix is coming. So any other questions here? Just
yeah, there's one from Jay about the difference between LU Control and LU Control Plus app. So my understanding, or at least we're going to be transitioning over to the LU Control Plus. I think the LU Control was kind of the older version of software, and they're kind of redid the LU Control Plus. So it's kind of the newer that's what we're going to be able to get. Some of the highlights that we will be able to see in LU Control will be the audio connect functionality. I think even video return is another one. There was a couple other ones, but yeah, so it's basically kind of rewritten is the idea with that. So it'll be kind of a new and improved LU Control, and then I think we'll eventually or gradually transition out of that. I think it's still actually in use, so you probably don't want to delete it yet, but you can. I mean, it's I think for what you're using, it's probably okay to delete it. The OG app.
Yeah, a lot of good changes coming with the Control Plus app. I know you can see if you have an 800 and you're doing a multicam encode, you can see the preview within the app and everything. So and a lot more features that are coming with LU Control Plus. So once again, another great topic for a Tech Tuesday as well. So I think we've got the next couple of months lined up here, Joyce and Luis. I think we've got our topics coming here. So
is there any other questions that we have? I know that I didn't cover the topic about metadata. And I think there was something that we have the ability to actually record content from Matrix, or even not necessarily through Matrix, but actually having it coming in from LU Central. If you can actually record something, you can actually add metadata to the pack and have it become available through LU through LiveU Ingest. I don't know if that's something that I don't think that was something that was discussed for today. But,
I think we didn't discuss it on this one. I know we have in the archive, we do talk about our new product, LiveU Ingest. So I would definitely advise folks to go take a look at that. LiveU Ingest is a great product that can bring in and record what your MMH servers are receiving and be able to talk to multiple systems and move those clips around. So but I think we can definitely talk about that on a future Tech Tuesday as well, Luis. Definitely.
Yep,
definitely.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Any other suggestions for other topics? Please bring them on, and you can email those recommendations to techtuesday@liveu.tv. Ed, myself, Joyce are happy to respond to those questions.
Most definitely. And also, don't forget, starting next month, Tech Tuesday in Espanol. Francisco is going to be doing those in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking friends. We want to make sure we get the word out. We will get the word out on that. And if you have sister stations, Univision, Telemundo, any other type of Spanish-speaking stations, please invite them to Tech Tuesday in Espanol, because a lot of important information for everybody. And once again, this is a learning environment for everybody. So we appreciate everybody coming and joining us again this month for another Tech Tuesday. Till next time, we've got one this afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern. If you've got colleagues that want to join in, please have them sign up. But 4 o'clock Eastern, we'll have another one on the same topic. But till later on, thank you all, everybody, for joining us. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you guys so much. And just so you know, we will send out a thank you email with the VOD, so you can share this with colleagues who couldn't make this this call. So thank you again.
Have a good one.